Let's take a look inside a medieval manor house after supper had been served.
Good day, my man. And how will you entertain us this evening?
My lord, the story's all about vengeance and greed and the sad price it brings to men. There were 3 youths, wild fellows, poorly behaved, men who'd never done a good day's work in their life, and yet they had plenty of coins, my lord, for they were thieves and robbers and vagabonds. And after a hard night's stealing and thieving, they repaired to the local hostelry and down a few ales, my lord, down a few ales, and gnaw on some lamb while honest men worked out in the fields all day and could barely afford watered down ale. Anyway, these fellows were revelling it away one day, my lord, when outside they heard a little bell ringing, going ting, 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 and they got louder, ding, 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 and they got even louder, dong, 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 and they had a bit of a headache from all that ale they'd been drinking. So they rushed outside and they said, "Stop that noise! Stop it, there are men trying to rest after all their hard labours." And they saw a sad, sad sight. For there was a cart being pulled down the road, a little potboy in front ringing the bell, on which was wrapped in bandages the body of a dead man. The body was that of an old friend, a man of which they used to sell the various ill-gotten gains they'd taken off people. "What had become of our old friend?" they said to the man who was leading the cart. And he said, "Ah, is this a friend of yours? What a sad ending. Recently he came across the greatest thief of all. He came across a thief called Death. This Death has been much about these last few weeks since the plague arrived in our land. He's taken many a life. He sneaks up unawares and pinches away both the old and the young." Well, with all that ale in them, they were easily angered, and they said amongst themselves, "This is wrong, to take away our livelihood by killing someone who was always so good to us. Let us get our knives and our cudgels, and let us seek out this fellow Death. Let us find him and put an end to his robbing." They set off down the road, until eventually they came across an old man. And what an old man! He was wizened and shaky, and leant on an old crooked staff. "Old man," they said, "old man, how disgusting you look! What are you doing wandering about this land looking so wretched, still alive, whereas a good friend of ours now lays in his grave? For I am as old as the hills, as old as the woods, and all I really desire is to be taken down into Mother Earth and given a good burial, and to end my wandering." They said, "You old fool, shut up. You too might like to reach my age perhaps one day, and you'd expect a bit more respect." So they slapped him around, the silly old fool. And they said, "Listen, you old idiot, perhaps you can be of use to us. Someone as old as you might well know where we can find a famous thief by the name of Death." "Oh, he said, "I've seen Death. I passed him just a short while ago, under a tree. You can't miss it. It's a large oak tree that spreads out far and wide, and beneath it I saw Death sitting." The 3 fellows forgot their bullying of the old man and set off. Eventually they saw the tree. Yet when they got there they found nothing. No one was sitting by the tree. But then one of them saw a glint of something by one of the roots. They scrambled around it, and eventually they found 300 gold coins tipped out of a bag. Now, if you're a wealthy man or a monarch, perhaps it doesn't seem a lot to you. But if, like the rest of us, you're poor, and these 3 fellows, who'd done nothing to earn it anyway, were mighty pleased with themselves. They said to themselves, "Let's take the gold." But one of them said, "Suppose someone in the town sees us with the gold. They may try to take it off us, or they may report us to the guards. They may say that we have stolen it off a rich man. And while the rich don't mind us stealing from the poor, they may object if we started picking on them." "Okay, here's what we'll do," said another of the scoundrels. "You go back to town, buy us some bottles, fill it up with wine, get us some cheese and bring it back here. We'll sit under the tree until dark falls, and then we'll sneak back to town with the gold. All in all, I think that'll be a good day's labour." "Okay," said the other fellow, and he set off back to town. And then the oldest turned to his friend and said, "Listen, there's 300 gold coins there. If we share that between the 3 of us, that's 100 apiece. But if we share it between the two of us, that's 150 apiece. Yeah, but what about the youngster? He'll want his share.